Wait, you go. Oh yeah, you went with your buddies once, right?
Yeah, and then we went down to nearby.
Are you considering for your next vacation maybe heading somewhere a bit more out of the box, a bit different, maybe, I don't know, Texas? Well, I'm here to tell you that, first of all, you're absolutely crazy because right now it's sweltering hot, it's August. Honestly, guys, that should not deter you at all. When I went to Texas, it was also August, and although there was some indecision, I went through with it anyways. So to get into this video, my name is Kevin, or the American Travel Geek. And just to touch on Texas really quickly, it's very unique in the sense that the kinds of things you do in Texas are not things you do on your typical trip to a metropolitan area like New York City or LA. The kinds of things you'll do in Texas are often very native to Texas culture, and Texans themselves, for what I know, have wanted to actually separate from the United States in a while, and they have a lot of things that are unique to them, and they like to protect and not share with the rest of the world. Much like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, what happens in Texas stays in Texas, and everything is bigger in Texas too. It's a really, really cool place to visit, and that's why today I'm going to cover 5 things in terms of food and attractions that you can do in Texas that you probably wouldn't do in other places. So before we get started, of course, I just started my channel, and I definitely want to encourage you to go hit the subscribe button and click the bell beside it to get notified whenever I release a new video. If you're into American travel, definitely do so. So one thing you definitely need to do in Texas in terms of grabbing something to eat is getting some Tex-Mex. Now, the kinds of, obviously, there's different variations of Mexican food in the United States. If you're in California, you also get pretty good Mexican food, and that's a different style called Cal-Mex. And in Texas, you get something called Tex-Mex, which I'm sure you've heard of. And so my Tex-Mex experience came when I was in Houston. Now, there's a number of, pretty much any city in Texas, you can probably find decent Tex-Mex food, but I know that Austin is well known for its Tex-Mex food. And when I was in Houston, I'm actually very close to the Texas border, or Mexico-Texas border. So that was the place I went to get Tex-Mex. And the place I opted to go with when I was with my friends was Pappasito's Cantina. Now, Pappasito's Cantina is maybe not the most notable place to get Tex-Mex in Houston. There's a couple other places that are very well known that I've not been to, including Ninfa's on Navigation, and El Tiempo Cantina, and there's a couple other ones. So definitely I would recommend leaving your options open, but I do recommend a place called Pappasito's Cantina. And when we went there, we just been through a day of layovers and just a really crappy day of flying where our flight was delayed. We were caught in a thunderstorm, and by the time we got to Houston, we were all exhausted and we really needed food, especially my friend who likes to eat. So we ended up walking over to Pappasito's, and we had a great meal, an absolutely great meal. It hit the spot. Now, what's special about Pappasito's is they have a really good atmosphere inside. It's like your typical bar and grill, but with kind of a Mexican touch. So you get that nice lively atmosphere, but with Mexican food. So I ended up going with the Baja fish tacos, and they comes with a side of Spanish rice and black beans. Black beans are a staple when it comes to Tex-Mex, and it was very, very good. I recommend that. And we actually enjoyed our experience eating at Pappasito's so much that we ended up going to Pappasito's 4 times while we were in Texas. 4 times. The last one being at the Dallas airport when we realized that they actually had a Pappasito's and we need to get it one last time before we went home. So number 1 on this list, definitely get some Tex-Mex while you're in Texas. Number 2 on the list is to go horseback riding. Now, I opted to do this when I was in the Dallas area because there was actually a ranch that you can access from Dallas by the light rail system, or at least very, very close to the last station of the light rail system. So obviously when we went, you know, we're pretty much confined to the metropolitan area that we were in. So we were in Houston first and then Dallas. And then obviously we don't want to you know, we're not renting a car, so we don't want to have to take an Uber, let's say 2 hours outside the city. It's just too expensive. So I'd highly recommend that if you're staying within Dallas or within that metropolitan area, you head to Southfork Ranch, which is actually located in Parker, Texas, which you can take the DART light rail train system, which is actually a pretty good train system. From downtown Dallas all the way up to Parker Station, I believe it's called. And then from there you can take a quick Uber ride to Southfork Ranch. And Southfork Ranch, you'll probably notice the famous white mansion from the TV show Dallas, which aired, I believe, in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And if you go there, we didn't decide to take the tour because I personally haven't seen the show. I'm just not interested. But you can do that tour, I think, for $15. But we opted to do a trail ride where you actually rent out, you just book it ahead of time, and a person who's working there will take you out on a horse. So they'll be on their horse and you guys will be on your horses, and they'll just walk you around. I personally don't even remember the last time before that where I've been on a horse, so it was definitely way outside my comfort zone. And it was also, it must have been like close to 100 degrees. It was very, very hot that day, and you have to wear pants, so that was a lot of fun. But it was definitely a very cool experience, just being out, beautiful day outside, just getting a true experience outside of the hustle and bustle of the city. Definitely something I wouldn't normally have done on a trip, but I'm in Texas, so I'm gonna do something Western. So I definitely recommend to go on a horseback ride somewhere. If you guys are enjoying this video, so far, head down in the comment section below and write Texas, baby. So the third item on my list is to go to a gun range. Now, of course, I don't endorse gun violence for obvious reasons, and this is all in good fun. It's just a recreational activity. But people in Texas do enjoy going to gun ranges as a recreational activity. It's actually not too hard to find an indoor and outdoor gun range that's located in and around Dallas or Houston. They're about as frequently spotted as you would spot a bowling alley in normal areas across the country. So but it is definitely an interesting experience. When we went, it was we went to a place called Marksman Indoor Range near Houston, Texas, and it was a rainy day, so it was a perfect activity to do. But you get in, and when you walk in inside, you get kind of a very interesting kind of atmosphere. It feels like you're walking into a bit of a shack out in the woods, I guess, but it's not shady in any way. But you go in and they'll rent you. I think we were able to rent either a handgun or a shotgun. We obviously are not, well, we're not licensed in any way, so those were the only options we had, and we were also, I think, 19 years old, so those were the only options they were able to provide us at that time. So we went with the pump action shotgun. I actually wore a tank top that day, so when you have to cock the end of the gun into your armpit. So when I came out of there, I had a big bruise right here from I guess the impact of the shotgun as you're shooting. And so don't make the same mistake I did. Wear a t-shirt or another shirt. But definitely an interesting experience, something I probably, again, would normally do, and something you would tend to do in Texas because of the way, or the kinds of different hobbies they have there. So, are you guys ready for more food? Because I have another suggestion for you. So when you're in Texas, you gotta try the Texas style barbecue. I haven't been in the Carolinas, so I haven't tried Carolina style barbecue. I also haven't tried barbecue in the Missouri region, so Kansas City style barbecue. But Texas style barbecue is very, very good. I obviously live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so barbecue up here, even though we have a couple of decent places that do it decently, it's not like authentic deep Texas barbecue. So when we were in Texas, we decided to get barbecue in Dallas at the Pecan Lodge. Now, Pecan Lodge is one of two places in Dallas that I think are the go-tos. The other place at the time was Lockhart Smokehouse. which I think was featured on some show that I watched. I forget which one. It might have been the one where the guy goes and he eats like as much as he can at that particular place. If you guys know the show, comment below because I'm kind of thinking and wondering what it is. But Pecan Lodge is definitely... The reason we went to Pecan Lodge and not Lockhart Smokehouse is because it was more accessible from downtown Dallas. Both are relatively close to downtown Dallas, so either option is good. But Pecan Lodge was very, very good. I ended up getting, I think, a half pound of ribs. I don't know, it's 2 of the long bones, with a side of jalapeno mac and cheese and some sweet tea. Delicious, delicious meal. Absolutely delicious. Very, very good and very enjoyable. So I highly recommend that. I'm not really a brisket guy, so that's not what I opted for. But if you do like brisket, their brisket's fantastic too. They are known for something called their Pitmaster sandwich. And it basically has every kind of meat on it. I think it has brisket, some pork, some sausage, and some coleslaw and some other things on there. So they are known for it, so that's another good option. One thing to note about a lot of these barbecue places is the hours in which they're open are not very, they're not open like that late. So usually, I think during the week, Pecan Lodge is only open 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. So you need to make sure you go there for lunch and go while you can, because of course they smoke their meat and cook it, and once they're out, they're out. We actually almost missed going to Pecan Lodge. I think we actually almost decided to go the next day, but if we had gone the next day, I think it was closed that day. We were very, very fortunate to be able to go when we did. So Pecan Lodge is a great place. If you're in Houston, I didn't opt to get barbecue there, but there is a place called Lulling City Market that's also quite good. So this brings me to the last item on the list, and this is something you'll find if you're in the Houston area, South Texas, and this is the NASA Johnson Space Center. And you know, I'm not even into, you know, astronomy or, you know, I've never really fantasized about going to the moon or anything like that. But nonetheless, this place is definitely very, very cool. And their exhibits are constantly changing since they are a museum. And there's 3 exhibits that I'm going to talk about. The first of which I believe is new, and I didn't experience it when I was there, but it's the Mars exhibit. And there you can actually touch real rock from Mars, which is kind of cool. And you get to just see what life was like, or what life is like on Mars throughout this exhibit, which is pretty interesting. The second one, which I got to experience, is the Saturn V, or the Saturn V rocket in Rocket Park. So you enter this big hangar and you get to see the Saturn V rocket that was used during the Apollo program to send Americans to the moon. And it's a really, really cool rocket. It's very, very large. It's the heaviest and I think the tallest rocket in the world. And it's one of 3 Saturn V rockets in existence. And this one is actually the only one that is actually certified for flight in terms of the hardware that's installed in it right now. Which is very, very cool. And when you go there, you'll just see this huge monstrosity of a rocket, and it's cool. You get to walk all the way around it, see all the different vantage points. And yeah, it's a really, really interesting experience. So the third exhibit is one that I've also not had a chance to experience, unfortunately, but is definitely a very well-renowned and very worth going to. And that is Independence Plaza. So what you'll find here is 2 pieces of aircraft, one mounted on top of the other. And the one on the bottom is an original space shuttle carrier, I believe. It transports space shuttle orbiters into space, and that is the NASA 905. And the aircraft on the top is a replica of the Independence, which is a space shuttle. And as a visitor, you can actually go inside both aircraft, which is really awesome. With that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, please leave a like. And if you didn't like it so much, definitely hit a dislike. Any feedback is appreciated. And I hope I change your perspective on maybe how you once viewed Texas and how you view it now. And definitely don't overlook going to Texas. There's a lot to do there. It's a huge state. And if you guys, of course, like my content, definitely hit the subscribe button. We're going to be putting out a lot more videos on American destinations in terms of tips, travel essentials, food and drink attractions, things like that. And I also have a blog that you can visit. We're putting out content, written content to go along with these videos. So if reading is more of your thing instead of watching videos, definitely check out the blog. So with that, guys, that'll wrap things up. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until next time, happy travels.